I don't know if I can do that. So this is disappointing. Charles is having an insurmountable internet problem, and we're not going to be able to do this great Terminator, Autopen Terminator show. I made this cool graphic with Trump being the Autopen Terminator, and Charles, we can't connect him. Something's wrong in Penang. So I apologize, everybody, but I wanted to come on and tell people that and let everybody know, unfortunately, I hadn't prepared anything. Normally, if I had known, I would have prepared some kind of alternate show. I don't know what Charles was going to say about the Autopen. That's the great thing about the show, is that it's spontaneous all the time. I could take people's questions about stuff. We could talk about that guy Wolves in Finance had another video. I wanted to talk to Charles about it. Video about, weird money shenanigans with Turning Point USA. Someone here says Trump's the ultimate alpha male and leader of the U.S. Patriots. Well, if he's going to terminate this Autopen, I think that would be, I'm curious to know what that's going to mean. I've got him here with the Autopen in his hand. I worked on this really hard. Well, I don't know what to say. Yeah, I don't want to freestyle too much because, like I said, I hadn't prepared. This all just broke down in the last 5 minutes in a way that I did not expect to have happen. I don't know if people got a chance to see this year's Crowdsource the Truth Christmas special that I put in there. It went on yesterday, and people who were following me on X can check that out. It's here, I have it. If you're following me at JG_CSTT, it's on there. I guess we could run this. Watch again. Let's just pause this here. I'm pleased with this. So yeah, we'll run this. What the hey? Why not? Let people check this out. And here we go. What? We don't have sound. Maybe, wait a second. Maybe I have it on mute. Unmute site. There we go. The thing that's interesting, I'll talk about how this was made after it's done playing.
Dear Sir, this is an emergency motion to remove this case to the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of Florida. The younger side is a self-appointed federal whistleblower seeking to file a legally defective motion. After 9 years of stalking the petitioner, respondent has now sunk to harassing his 85-year-old father. Based on no evidence whatsoever, it is alleged the doctor falsified x-rays and is now the subject of respondent's independent IPA investigation. And furthermore, hey, do you hear something?
So there's that Christmas special for 2025. Yeah, so people want to hear me talk about terminating the Autopen. Well, I'm happy to do that. Just briefly to talk about that making of that video there, a very schizophrenic Swigert Christmas. The thing that's so great about this, obviously I used AI. It's only 90 seconds or so, a little less, 82 seconds. But even 5 years ago, that 82 seconds of animation would have taken certainly days and probably a team. So it's pretty amazing what you can do with AI. And obviously I didn't just, prompt some AI to do that. It took a lot of combining my traditional skills with what AI can do nowadays to get into that, people also want to hear what I have to say about wolves and finance. I thought it was a good video. I don't know why wolves and finance wasn't able to tell that the address, for people who haven't seen it, he's going through the 990s, that Charles went through a month or two ago. This guy basically, he did maybe succeed in kind of pressuring them to release the 2024. I don't know if he exactly pressured them or if it was just the timing. He did point out that they wrote on their 990s that they had been released in May, and they did not seem to show up until like a week ago. So, I mean, good on him. This was good that this guy did this. Wolves in Finance put out this whole explosive more fraud at Turning Point USA. And so in this, he drives to an address that these guys had been receiving money to. Remember, Charles pointed out there's a bunch of addresses where they're receiving money. I don't want to get dinged for showing this guy's video, but here he is. He drives to the business location, and he's kind of questioning, like, well, why? Here it is. He's like, oh, they're sending it to a parking lot, 110, but it's not a parking lot. There's a UPS store or US Post boxes, one of those mailbox stores in the place there. I found it earlier today. I don't know why he didn't. That was a little weird. Let's find it again right now. The thing is called 110 LLC. I don't even remember if this is one of the businesses that we had identified as being problematic. Here we go. Arizona Corporations Commission. Yeah, I didn't really get into this 100%. Boost Business Performance 110's reward program. Again, I'm not really necessarily prepared to dive into this deeply, but I looked it up. Oh, you know what? I had it on here because I have the, let's just get the Turning Point USA. We can get it from there. 990, obviously. And it's a post box store. So I don't know why he didn't figure that out. Now, of course, immediately there was somebody in there accusing him of doing something wrong because he didn't figure it out. I don't know about that. This guy's an accountant, He might be very into figuring out accounting things, but sometimes when you're in these investigations, I'm not criticizing them. Like I said, something can be right in front of you, and that's why it's good to have these crowdsourced, open source things, because sometimes something can be right in front of you and it's a little difficult to find until somebody brings it to your attention. So wait a minute, where is this thing? I had the address before. 110. Is it not showing up here? Maybe it's in their previous 990s. Let's just take a look. I had it earlier today. There it is. 110 LLC. So there, let's just go over here to Google Earth. And he had, it's a public business address, so it's 18521E Queen Creek. See, it's much better when I have Charles on to do this stuff, because then I can be typing while he's talking. It's a little difficult to do these kind of things on the fly when you're trying to do the whole shebang. Come on. Oh boy, see, it's more than a little difficult. Why isn't it giving me the damn thing here? What the hell? There we go. Okay, so there we go. Okay, so it's this shopping mall, and in the shopping mall. The guy was literally in the parking lot, which is cool, good on-the-ground investigative journalism, but you really don't need to do that. You can just see right here that, I don't know, I mean, it's a fair point. This person who was sort of razzing him for saying, what the hell is wrong with this guy? There's a UPS store right there. So this is, address E, according to what I see, when you put that address into Google. Let's just do it. 18521E. He might have thought it was East Queen Creek Road, Queen Creek, Arizona. But no, it's clearly the UPS store. And they tell you. So it's E. That's its address. And then the suite numbers, or what he thought were suite numbers for this 110 business, would, I think, be the post office box numbers inside this business here. But anyway, that's for that. There were a couple of other questions that people were asking me here. Let's see what people have to say. The Amish Santa. Yeah, thanks. I'm glad people like that. We got to talk. I got to talk with Charles about that video about wolves in finance. And yeah, I could make a whole movie that way. That Christmas special, it's 82 seconds. I came up with the idea. I completed that in 14 hours. It was kind of amazing to me, including that Christmas cover song with the terrible singing, the Autopen. Right. So people want to know what I think will happen with the Autopen. Well, I think it's going to be the typical, Democrat lawfare nonsense where Trump is going to say, hey, the Autopen, Joe Biden had no idea what he was doing. Somebody else was signing the Autopen, and that kind of circumvents the power of the presidency. And Joe Biden didn't give these pardons or make these, sign these laws or whatever. And so they're null and void. Then, of course, we'll get Norm Eisen coming in there, suing Trump for doing that. It's just going to be more of a jam up is what I think is going to happen. I don't know. It's always good, though, to get Charles's point of view because he just, obviously way smarter than me and knows much more about this kind of stuff. A lot of people are also talking about these Google trends. Our friend Glam Ham Radio was talking about the Google trends. And I don't know. I mean, it's interesting. It just seems to me that's become the hottest subject all of a sudden. It causes me to wonder, is there any way, and I don't know the answer to this, but is there some way that somebody could be can you game that? Can somebody be doing some kind of trick to make whatever they want appear in Google Trends? And I just say that because it seems like sort of so obvious, What do the police call that? Like an orgy of evidence when it's a little too on the nose? That's what it feels like to me, is a little too on the nose. Like suddenly everything is in the Google Trends and it's all these people from Washington, D.C. and like all the most sophisticated people in the world have the absolutely worst operational security of anything ever, where they're just openly searching for things that everybody can see them searching for. And so, by the way, the thing that Glam Ham Radio was talking about, she said it was a license plate. And it's interesting because there was a sign that, Charlie Kirk was walking in and it said like, this parking space is reserved for whatever license plate. But the thing is, what the hell does Googling a license plate? Like, who is Googling a license plate? They won't tell you who owns the car. I don't know. It just feels like something, I don't know, it's like, look over here. And I'm not accusing Glam Ham Radio of doing anything wrong. It is true, I guess, that people were Googling this license plate. But then I Googled it, and what I saw was 2 months ago, people found that sign that said this parking space is reserved for whatever that license plate was. So I don't really know what Google Trends is doing. And see, then I almost look at like the metadata around these different viral social media things, because that Baron Coleman, whatever his name is, he sure seems like a lawfare guy to me. Yeah, I think Wolves in Finance is a good channel. I communicated with the guy and said, hey, here's more similar stuff from Charles Ortel. He didn't write back. Don't know what that means. Sometimes people don't like to, do collaborative YouTube things. Maybe he doesn't like me. Maybe he didn't see it. Who knows? The Autopen DEI Supreme Court Justice. Right. So that's an interesting question. I think that Charles has said in the past that these people were still approved by the Senate, but actually no, somebody else said that. What Charles said last night was that it goes to the doctrine about the fruit of the poison tree. What is that? Fruit of the poisonous tree is a legal doctrine that states evidence obtained indirectly from an unconstitutional act is also inadmissible court. So let's ask AI. It sometimes knows things and sometimes doesn't. Oh, I don't know if I'm logged in. I am. Oh, no, I'm not. So let's try Grok. We'll ask Grok. Does the fruit of the poisonous tree doctrine apply to the appointment of SCOTUS Justice Jackson if Trump terminates Joe Biden Autopen activity? Let's see what Grok says. It's thinking about it. Might not apply to SCOTUS justice appointments. It's thinking. It's analyzing doctrine application. That's just it. Some lawyer will go in there and say no. I mean, whatever Trump says, some lawyer will go in there and say no. That's the point, is that lawyers just want to get in court and argue about stuff. So I have a feeling it's really just going to start a bunch of fights, and they'll say, Democrats will say no, Autopen is fine, and Trump will say no, Autopen is no good. Explosive material could have been used in the Mike explosion. Right, I looked into that, pent, and my answer is no, because when you look at other videos of pent explosions, they make smoke and heat, and anything that explodes is a chemical explosion. It's going to make smoke, and it's going to have, this, maybe it's magic, but I don't think so. And I just don't think anything exploded under his shirt. All these people who are saying that are improperly analyzing video evidence. So Grok says no. The fruit of the poisonous tree doctrine does not apply to Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson's appointment, even under President Trump's November 2025 declaration terminating Biden-era documents signed via Autopen. The doctrine is a Fourth Amendment rule in criminal procedure that excludes evidence derived from an unconstitutional search or seizure. Trump's declaration has no legal mechanism to undo a completed Senate-confirmed Article 3 appointment. That's what I mean. That's what I thought. Any challenge would fail in court as a political question or for lack of standing, and no precedent exists for unsitting a justice this way. Justice Jackson remains a valid member of the Supreme Court. Claims suggesting otherwise, example, some media or social media or fringe commentary. Yeah. So no, that's what I think, is that when I just looked up that doctrine, my initial reaction was a lawyer would say that only applies to each specific thing. So Master of Blackjack says, did Trump hand sign each pardon he did in 2020? I do believe Trump has said he'd never use the Autopen, that he does sign every document. He loves sitting there signing things. He makes a reality show out of it in a way that I actually like, yelling at people, calling them fat, stupid, whatever, piggy. I think it's kind of good to see Trump sign all kinds of stuff and yell at people. It's funny, at least. Let's see, what else have we got? Is there anybody chatting on X? Hello, 58 people viewing on X. Thanks for joining there. And let's see if we can watch it on other Crowdsource the Truth. 12. Yeah, I want to be careful. I don't want to go off into too many other crazy tangents because, like I said, I haven't really prepared. Thank you there, PB Girl likes the music. Lee, PB Girl is asking about. Lee is not well. I can't lie. I spoke with his son, and they have stopped rehabilitation, and they're focused on making Lee comfortable, which I don't think is a good sign. And I hope he'll be all right, but I think Lee is not well. Yeah, Hans was excited to hear Charles' take on this. I was too. Something going on with his internet there in Penang. He's Penanged up, you know. And yeah, people are commenting that there's only a few watching. Well, I mean, you know, this is an interesting subject to delve into. The social engineering has really... hello, Jeffrey in New Zealand. That's great. The great produce in New Zealand, I have to say. If you get the chance, it's such a long damn flight. I couldn't imagine myself taking a flight like that again, but I enjoyed the time I spent in New Zealand. What was that guy's name who I went to go visit? Harmon, I forget his last name, but it was interesting to visit New Zealand. It's so remote, but the produce was great. The kiwis are like huge. If you ever eat a kiwi in New Zealand, it will change your opinion of kiwi. By the way, I always tell people, if you're in the supermarket and you're going to buy those kiwis, you got to check if they're coming from Italy or California. They just absolutely suck. I don't know what to tell you. They're just like literally terrible. And so some people have told me like, oh, I don't like kiwis. Then you probably haven't had one from New Zealand, and you definitely haven't had one in New Zealand because they're phenomenal. But that's irrelevant. No need to talk about that. So Ketanji Brown Jackson is not going to get kicked out. I guess, I don't know, it's the pardons mostly. I think Trump could probably effectively use it, you know, particularly if he's going to go against Adam Schiff and other people who have received these sketchball pardons from Joe Biden. I think they said that Hunter Biden was the only one that he actually signed. And Loco Valdez, that's a hell of a YouTube name right there, says, careful comparing anything Obama-Biden did with Trump. I mean, you know, yeah, Charles had all kinds of things to say tonight about Obama, and specifically with John McCain. How, and I think this is the way it's been for a long time. What Charles said when we were talking on the phone trying to work out his internet problem was that he wanted to talk about how it seemed like the CIA had the 2008 election rigged from both sides. By the way, that's how they like to do everything. I think it was the same with George Bush versus Al Gore. I don't think it would have been substantially different with Al Gore. I think Trump kind of flipped the table. Charles is having a pain in Penang. Yeah. He loves Penang. He wants me to go to Penang, but I don't want to get on a plane. I think I'm only going to be able to vamp for so much longer unless people have other questions. I would like to talk to that guy, Wolves in Finance, but he didn't write back. I did also contact Brian, the guy who was on Dee Dee's podcast. He did not want to communicate with me either. So just going back, to be super ADD for everybody, just going back to the CIA controlling the election, whether it was Obama or John McCain, they really love full spectrum dominance, right? The idea that they just control everything. Let's look up. I think it generally just means land, sea, and air. Combined arms war game. No, that's a video game. Full spectrum dominance, also known as full spectrum superiority. I think this is just how they want to win everything, is to just sort of super completely overwhelm. So full spectrum dominance, also known as full spectrum superiority, is a military entity's achievement of control over all dimensions of the battle space, effectively possessing an overwhelming diversity of resources in such areas as terrestrial, aerial, maritime, subterranean, extraterrestrial, psychological, and bio or cyber technological warfare. I'm glad we looked at this because I have long suspected that this aspect was part of it. This is why there are so few people watching right now, because I believe, my opinion right now, this U.S. military doctrine of full spectrum dominance, as early as April 2001, the United States Department of Defense defined full spectrum superiority as the cumulative effect of dominance in the air, land, maritime, and space domains and information environment, which includes cyberspace. So right there, they're telling you that whether it's China, Russia, or me, if you're not on board with whatever their message is in cyberspace, you're going to be dominated. That's what's going on here. That's, I allege, why George's idiot brother operates with impunity in federal court, in district court. And that's why when I get 120,000 viewers on YouTube, they knock it out. So, I mean, again, it brings me back to this question of, could any of these videos, whether it's Candace Owens or, whoever, could any of these things grow to be 1 million viewers and whatever if they weren't being allowed to do that? Doesn't it fly in the face of that concept of full spectrum dominance that we just saw right there? I don't know. It seems, yeah, of course it includes cyberspace. Yeah, I mean, again, it's one of those things that I knew, but looking at it right there, Master of Blackjack looked up Penang on Google Earth, and it doesn't look too great. Well, I don't know. Charles says it's great. He lives in a fancy apartment in a fancy building. I mean, what he's describing about it that he thinks is great is it's like in New York in 1990s, and everything obviously started to change after 2001, but definitely I remember from 1990 to, let's say, September 10th, 2001, you could walk around New York and find so many just specialized, like anybody who could do anything. There used to be this little old man who fixed Bolex cameras. He died. I mean, even, what was that guy's name who had the computer repair shop right around the corner from my apartment? Man, how do I forget his name? Right to Repair. He was big on YouTube. I haven't seen him in a while. But that kind of specialized place, you don't really have them in New York anymore. It's just gone all super corporate and things going out of business. And Charles is saying, like, he's got this, like, super talented bookbinder. And, Charles is really into collecting books. So he has his books rebound by this guy. And he's some kind of, like, really renowned bookbinding guy. And I don't know, I wonder if you could even find that in New York anymore. But now Charles has it in Penang and he loves it. And also everything is way cheaper in Penang is another thing that he was telling me about that he likes. And also you got to keep in mind, I don't know who's watching. Probably the demographic is 55 and up. But if you're young and looking for some exciting city, I don't know if Penang is that. But if you're just like looking for value for your dollar in someplace calm, he goes to his tennis club, he's playing tennis. I think that's it, is that he's just gotten into a groove. He's a very good tennis player from what he's told me, and I believe that. And so he goes there and everybody wants to play tennis with him. It sounds kind of fun. I suck at tennis. I really can't play tennis at all. I didn't have anything prepared for tonight, so it's interesting that we were able to see that the fruit of the poisonous tree doctrine would not apply to Ketanji Brown Jackson and probably wouldn't apply to a lot of other things, but it's good rhetoric for Trump. I think it's a worthwhile thing to do, cancel Joe Biden's stupid stuff. In vans with students, art gallery. Yeah, right. New York in the 90s, right. It was chill. It's not like that now. Well, wait a minute. There is some more stuff to talk about. Did people see, there's all this stuff going on with ICE yesterday, NYPD beating up on ICE. And I noticed we had stupid idiot Joel Mottola there. And it's just really weird. Here, maybe I can find it in my replies. I think that might be where we'll find it. Because Joel Mottola, for people who haven't seen me arguing with him, he's a sergeant with the NYPD. And so here's my meeting with him. Remember when this stupid idiot kid ran up and shut up my phone? Let's take it back. Let's watch this for a second.
Make content. Don't be like this all
What's
the time.
in this guy's backpack?
Probably food.
Probably not, Mottola. Probably something that shut off my
See, look,
live
why is he
stream.
laughing?
You don't have an IMSI? What are you fucking smiling at, Joel?
Did it shut off your live stream? He looks so surprised. I mean, isn't he acting like a bully who's just gotten one over on you? And look at this asshole in the suit. This is the NYPD. So, and look, here's another live streaming guy with a backpack hanging out near the NYPD. Maybe they're just live streamers, but why is Mottola laughing about this? I don't know. That's not the one. The video that I saw that he was in is, there's John Shell making fun of Sal. John Shell has retired. Mottola was out yesterday or 2 days ago hanging out with all the people who were fighting with ICE. ICE was attempting to, Canal Street. Right, this might be it. So ICE was attempting to arrest illegal people. Now this guy's got the mask on. I saw Mottola in the crowd. And it's just strange. I mean, there's supposed to be something like 30,000 NYPD officers. How is it that I recognize so many of them so frequently? I don't know. People can go through my replies here on, this must be it. Stage. No, that was later. This girl gave a great breakdown of the color revolution. So that's just it. If we're being, United States Department of Defense full spectrum dominated in a color revolution, I don't know how I'm going to get around that as far as, producing social media content. This is hilarious. Steven Seagal, look at how fat he is now. It's unbelievable. So I posted this Monty Python clip of Mr. Creosote going into the restaurant. If you haven't seen Monty Python, Meaning of Life, it was one of the funniest movies ever. I don't know where this is with Mottola, but he's in that crowd somewhere. And there's David Lee Roth. I must have missed it. I don't know. George Conway transitioning. Here, this must be it. Right on cue. There's Mottola. Yeah, so let's see him in here. This guy is always hanging out with Mottola. So he's the only lieutenant the cops have. And then somebody else had some story out today that this was being leaked. It was maybe John McCarry or somebody on Finest Unfiltered had a story out today that this stuff is getting leaked. Now look, there's a journalist wearing a blue face mask. Is that undercover color of the day? I don't know. Could be. Where's Mottola? I saw him in this crowd. Not seeing him right now. So Mottola's a sergeant with the Community Affairs Unit, and throughout history, there's a Community Affairs jacket right there, the royal blue. You even see it says Community Affairs. So the NYPD has established a lot of these different various units for doing weird stuff, like hiring undercover actors and things like that. And I think that they're staging a lot of this, maybe anti-Trump NYPD people or who knows what. Matola is somewhere in this video. I saw him earlier. I'd have to go through frame by frame to find him again. And maybe this isn't the best venue for that, but I don't know what that flag is there, but people are tearing it up in New York City. Maybe they don't like the iPhone, or where are they there? Yeah. Israel is killing children, so don't buy an iPhone. I don't know what their issue is with that iPhone, but Matola is part of this. I think it's all staged to, obviously, to make Trump look bad and, you know, all that kind of stuff. They got immediately released, I'm sure. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, a wafer-thin mint. Well, anyway, again, if you're just joining, unfortunately, Charles is having a little bit of an internet jam up there in Penang. Oh, man, Mandami's chief of staff is a London School of Economics and Columbia University alum. Not good. Joe Tippins gives Batty Man hope that the truth will overcome. I can't say I know who Joe Tippins... Oh, yeah, Louis Rothman. That was it. Louis Rossman. That was his story. He moved to Austin, Texas. But that's what I mean. That was the kind of unique business that used to be in New York City that's now gone. So, I mean, good for Austin that they... So is he doing still Rossman repair? Yeah, data recovery service in Austin, Texas. So now you got to go to Austin, Texas to get it. MacBook repair. Is it a walk-in store still? I haven't seen him on YouTube in a while. I don't know why his logo is a sheep. Anybody know why that is? Well, anyway, that's basically all I had to say about that without Charles. I hadn't prepared a lot of stuff for tonight. I should have some more to say tomorrow. A little bit of a hearing happening. So I'm going to sign off now. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Thanks, everybody who sponsors the show on subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth and on crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com and patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. A lot of people have been asking me, well, I don't want to talk about this on Charles's show. We'll have more shows in the coming days. I was taking couple days off for Thanksgiving, but back now, and I will speak to everybody soon. Thanks, everybody.